Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be looking into 6 American V8 muscle cars that you can pick up for around the 25 grand mark. Now some of these are going to be under 25 grand and some of these are just going to be breaking it, maybe even slightly above 25 grand. There are a lot of great cars on this list. I tried to include some classics as well as something more modern. So if you like the video, please let me know and leave a comment as to what your favorite car is down below. But other than that, thank you for watching and enjoy the show. So the first car we're going to get into is the Ford Mustang GT S197 3rd gen pre-2010. So that's before the facelift, before the 5.0. This is a great entry level kind of like sports car to get into, or V8 American muscle car to get into. For under that won't break the bank, it's under 25 grand. Under the hood sits a 4.6 liter 3-valve V8 producing around 300 horsepower and 320 foot-pounds of torque, which you can get with either a 5-speed manual or an automatic transmission. Now it's got that classic late 60s styling with modern V8 power, and even though the numbers aren't massive by today's standards, it's still a great car, reliable if you do the maintenance on it, with rear wheel drive. And yeah, it's a pretty good platform to get into. Stock, it runs 0 to 60 in the mid 5-second range. But now, because this car has been out for a while, there has been a lot of aftermarket support for it. A lot of people, they keep it basic. Some people just do headers and exhaust and cold air intakes, and you can go that route if you want. But if you really want to make power out of it, people do forced induction or supercharge this motor. Now I'm going to recommend, if you are going to do things like that, I highly recommend to build the motor so that it can handle the 400 or 500 horsepower reliably, because you don't want to be blowing things up. And these 3-valve engines tend to develop cam phaser issues, especially as they age. So definitely a great car to get into under 25 grand. So the next car we're going to be talking about on this list is the 5th gen Camaro SS, which is GM's aggressive return to the muscle car wars. The Camaro was basically discontinued and then brought back in 2010. And in the Camaro SS, you get a 6.2 liter LS3 V8 with the manual transmission, if you choose to get the manual transmission, which does produce 426 horsepower. Really, that's pretty insane for 2010. Great straight line performance for the price. If you get the automatic transmission, you'll get a L99, which produces around 400 horsepower and has the fuel or cylinder deactivation for fuel efficiency. This generation did include a independent rear suspension, giving it better handling compared to the older Camaros, but it still doesn't ride the best. But despite that, it goes fairly fast in a straight line with 0 to 60 times, showing low 4 seconds. So that's pretty good. And also it's got great aftermarket support. A lot of people cam these things. They run long tube headers, intake manifolds, and really can push this car to around 450 with those mods alone. So which is great. There's definitely allows for people to build the car if they want to keep up with modern V8s, whilst I think 426 or 400 horsepower for a V8 is still pretty good. You could supercharge or turbo it, but again, like I said, that's dumping more money into the build, and you're gonna have to want to build the motor before you kind of get into things like that. Car is very heavy, like I said. The visibility is probably very terrible. I've driven many of these things before, and yeah, you can't really see your blind spot, so that's one really downside about the car. But once you figure out how to drive it, you can kind of get used to it, and it's something that kind of you live with. So yeah, for 25 grand, the Camaro SS is a great option. So the next car we're going to talk about is the third gen Dodge Challenger RT. Now mainly referring to the early 2010s to mid 2010s model, because those are the ones that you could usually find for 25 grand. You can find the newer ones around 25 grand as well, but it's much easier to find the mid 2010s models at that price point. So the Challenger RT comes with a 5.7 liter Hemi V8 producing around 370 horsepower. Now it does have that muscle car look to it, and I think it has that most like muscle car look to it compared to any of the other muscle cars on these lists, or on this list. Like when you compare it to the Camaro or even the Mustang, I think this is what a muscle car looks like. When I think muscle, this car comes to my mind. Now it does have the highway comfortability if you're cruising down, but it's not going to be agile around the track. Aftermarket support includes cam upgrades, intake swaps, exhaust systems, and even supercharger kits. So there is aftermarket support if you do want to build it. There's not much suspension upgrades that you can do. There is suspension upgrades, but it's not gonna help the car with its rideability just because of how much it weighs. And that's what really limits the potential of this car compared to some of the other cars on this list. If you don't value lap times, then this is pretty much a really good car for you. You can get it to sound good and look really good as well for that $25,000 price point. So the next car we're going to be talking about is what I believe to be one of the more underrated cars on this list. Unfortunately, they are harder to find as they were only built in Australia and imported to the US. And this is the Pontiac GTO, which was built from 2004 to 2006. Under the hood comes a 5.7 liter LS1 V8 producing around 350 horsepower, and unlike many muscle cars of its time, it does include a independent rear suspension, giving it a really good ride quality and pretty good handling for what it packs. So out the box, the performance is strong. It comes with an LS, so aftermarket options are pretty much nearly endless. People go cams, headers, intake upgrades, even supercharged Pontiac GTOs or supercharged LS1s are common, and it does often exceed 400 wheel horsepower NA. So very good car for the price point. It's just that they're harder to find. Parts might be harder to find because there's such limited production numbers, and some people might not like the styling. I like it personally. Some people may say it's conservative for a muscle car, it doesn't have an aggressive look, but I really like it, so that's for you to say. But nonetheless, Pontiac GTO is a great car for that 25 grand mark. So the next car we're going to be talking about is the mid 2010s, early 2010s Dodge Charger. Very similar to the Challenger. Comes with the same motor and everything. It's got good balance though. Full size sedan, so that's the difference. It's got the same V8, 5.7 liter V8 that produces about 370 horsepower. Good mid-range torque, rear-wheel drive. It's got a better suspension setup than the Challenger, so it makes it more comfortable for daily use while still providing that power. It's got great aftermarket support. People would end up usually doing is upgrading cams, exhaust, intakes. People do supercharge these, and if they do push a lot of power, close to like 500. So yeah, this is pretty much a Challenger but a sedan. Now I do believe that these only come in an automatic transmission, whereas the Challenger you can find them in a manual. So if that's something that's big for you, I would obviously choose the Challenger if you're looking for a manual. But nonetheless, this is still a great car for that $25,000 range. And yeah, the next car we're gonna be talking about, I think the prices are starting to climb on this one, and they're becoming harder to find for 25k. They used to be very easy to find for under 25k, but recently within the past few years they have gone up in price. And this is the C5 Corvette, which is produced from 97 to 04. It does come with the LS1 V8. Now if you get the Z Z06, it comes with the LS6, I believe. But the base model comes with the LS1 V8, which is what you're going to probably find for around that $25,000 range, which makes 350 horsepower. And it's got 50-50 or approximately 50-50 balance weight distribution because of the rear mounted transaxle. And it's capable of 4-second 0 to 60 times. Really good handling car. Fiberglass body, so it's very lightweight, and it handles really well around the track. As you know, it's got an LS platform in it, so these cars are very easy to build because there's a lot of aftermarket support behind it, and people bolt on a cam, even forced induction, supercharge it, and they can make, depending on how you build this car, they can make 400, 500, maybe even 600 horsepower. And there's a lot of aftermarket support for this car. A lot of people build this car, and I want to own one of these cars one day. Some of the weak points do include the dashes being older, so they age, they crack, so it's going to be hard to find a clean one for 25 grand. The pop hub headlights got issues and small electrical things, but in terms of like performance per dollar, I think this is one of the best buys for around that 25k mark, if you can find one, because they are starting to climb in price. And so that's gonna do it. Those are 6 cars, 6 American muscle V8 cars that you can get for around that 25 grand mark. Definitely some great cars on this list. Let me know which one you like the most down in the comments below. Thank you for watching. Please leave a like and sub, and I'll catch you in the next one.